Yeah, yes. We are here once more. Wagwan people, it's your boy Ishaka Shango here again on Creative Always Be with another dope creative to have a conversation. You know what I mean? Welcome to another episode of Creative Always Be. This episode is called Creative Always Be Conveying Stories Through His Videos. Jamieson Daley came to prominence when he started to use his creativity to tell stories through his voice over videos. He takes you on a journey around Jamaica while giving you his perspective. It was an instant hit. Persons loved it. Since he has worked with Jamaica Tourist Board to create some projects and much more. We are elated to have him on our show to get a deep dive into how he created this niche and his plans for the future. Let's check out his reel. Wagwan, brother. Wagwan, Jameson.
Well, on Django, much
There,
respect.
I'm a day, I'm a day, I'm
Having
a
me on
day,
the
I'm a
show.
day. Brother, I swear it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to have you on the show because when we see the dope work them out there and we know say is another creative basically in the space. I produce this quality of work, this level of work. And I must tell you the voiceover them sick. Like just how your sound and the voiceover alone is captivating. So we have to give props on that, you know what I mean?
Much respect,
Before
man.
we get into all that, you know what I mean, we always start the show with trying to understand how the person started out. So let me ask you the question, you know what I mean, how Jamieson Daly started as a creative in the space, you know what I mean, wanted from your first experience, so to speak, as, you know, first experience with a camera. Does that first encounter where make you think you are the creative that you are now?
Wow. Okay, we can go way back when I had my first camera, which was one of those toy wind up film cameras. Got that when I was in prep school. But I'm gonna start in high school. My dad, is a technology lover, and he always gave us access to computers and gave us access to whatever tech gadgets he had in the house. And it so turned out that when I was in about fifth form, he purchased an expensive, what is now considered semi DSLR, model 6 digital cameras. And back then, we're talking about 2005. Like digital cameras were something new. Like we never had we never had color screen phones back then. We didn't have cameras on phones back then. So he let me he let me use that expensive camera. I don't know why he let me hold it, but I was able to then use the video features on it, which were square at the time. And that's when I made my first ever video with that old Canon PowerShot D5. I'll never forget it. But it was always a hobby for a long time. I actually went to college and I studied computer science. I have a computer science degree, and I made videos from fifth form straight up until I ended my degree for fun. Uh, if you look back, you can probably find some old videos of like me when I used to ride dirt bikes with my friends and capturing them riding. You can probably find old videos of me back in St. George's, just like shooting for my friends and family, just like very basic stuff. Not knowing what I was doing, experimenting the entire time. it was definitely, looking back, it was a chain of events that led to me getting to this place. Um, but eventually, throughout college, trying to figure out who I was, and the camera was always a part of my life, even though I had all these other distractions, and even though, I was in school and doing computer science, the camera was always there. And I think the first time I realized I could make money with it was I took a GoPro camera, which is a different camera, it's a Carnival, and I made a very simple, short, like 3-minute video. Uploaded it to YouTube. Just not being a part of Carnival and no official capacity. Uploaded it to YouTube. Edited it, uploaded it to YouTube, and it went viral. Like I think that video went back in the day in 2000 and maybe 10 or so or 13 or so. Um, it got like 90,000 views, and back then that was viral. So yeah, from that, I realized, oh, people actually want to see video content, and I took it more seriously. And eventually, I said, you know what, I'm gonna do video production. I have to big up. Um, the first set of videos I made professionally were for events, parties, weddings, things like that. I have to big up like people like the Amaras from Bacchanal, Andrew Bellamy, PP from Sun Nation. Because those guys, not knowing who I was, not having a name, gave me my first like opportunity to make money with a camera. They saw the vision of what I wanted to do was, which was create after movies for events, and they allowed me to like invest in myself and eventually get where I am now. So that I think is the basic history of where I started out. Um, and from there it just grew and grew and grew. But my love for cinema, my love for videos and creating content and making people feel something and helping others and telling stories was always there. I just didn't appreciate it in a professional capacity until much later in life. And by much later, I mean like around 23, 24. So,
You're the man, much later in life. We understand, man. We understand. Me understand. Like it take a little what I call a little time to develop and to gain the level of confidence for basically start do what you want to do, so to speak. You know what I mean? So oftentimes we start out doing doing everything, shooting everything like, oh yeah, you shoot this, you shoot a look of photos, you shoot there until you develop yourself into a certain, I would say, a certain type of creative, and then now when you gain this vibes or this energy, then it starts. All right, then this is what I want to be known for. So I think that is the part where when you start do the storytelling, now you're like, I shoot events, I do all them corporate stuff, I probably shoot some weddings now and then, but I want to be known for these, you know what I mean, storytelling video that I take you through Jamaica on a journey, so to speak. And I would say, yo, you have basically carved out that for yourself because whenever one of them video they drop, even if your name is not on it, your voice is there, so we kind of recognize your voice and stuff like that. But I can say, yo, boom, a Jamieson work this. And as I said, brother, like, I must tell you, like, the voiceover, I mean, I don't know which studio you're going or what, but the voiceover always basically adds a lot to the video, you know what I mean? The voiceover help to sell the story. Even the latest one we put out, you know what I mean? This shall pass. That one was so powerful, brother. Like, it's a powerful video. Like when we go to man seat, I mean I say, yo, Jameson again, the man do it again, you know what I mean? You like take it up a next notch, you know. I'm like, yo, I'm glad to see this because for me, you know, how I look at creatives and you know what I mean, creatives in Jamaica overall is that I love to see when creatives are winning. Like I feel good. Like when I dip on my computer, I dip on my phone and I say a next creative, basically I win. I'm like, yo, I'm glad to see this because I don't think of our next creators as my competition. I think of them as, you know what I mean, peers who, if we advance the space can only get better. You know what I mean? So I'm glad to see when a man like you basically I do your work. I'm glad to see a man like Lexa Art, um um Adrian McDonald, I do them think on a certain level. I'm like, yo, this is amazing. So, brother, I must commend you upon your videos, them, and Like when I watch them, I feel something, and I'm glad say you basically had that in mind. You know what I mean? Yo, I want people to feel something. I don't just want to make a video. I want them to feel something like this shall pass. Like it has the feeling. Like oh, you just even deliver the words and everything. It has that feeling. The pictures, everything just line up right, brother. You're doing the right thing. So tell me now about how did you what I call now? How did you create this type of niche for yourself in the space where 1,000 videos are going out, everybody trying to do something? How did you come up with this and say, "Oh, listen, everybody I do this, everybody I do that. I want to do capture content across Jamaica and also do it in a voiceover, because the voiceover adds a lot to it. So, what make you decide that you want to use this voiceover aspect to enhance your videos?"
Well, to be honest, the voiceover aspect wasn't something that I really sat down and said, yeah, I want my voice to be the narration voice in this video. It actually it started out more because it was my story in a sense, and it makes sense to me having not a horrible voice, to find someone else to voice this piece, especially since these are my personal stories or my messages. So I'm gonna be honest. The first video that I think has gotten the recognition and the views and the impact, which was the Jamaica National Pledge tribute. That that video wasn't planned in terms of me thinking I wanted to like create some sensational video that that would be popular and create this niche. It more was like a spark of inspiration. It might roll your eyes, but honestly, one day I was sitting down and I heard the, the orchestra piece that that you hear in that song that National Pledge is sung on. I heard it in a movie or something, and I was like, that is the melody for the National Pledge, and it was such a beautiful piece that everything just starts to fall in place in my mind in terms of I realized that it's a pledge that we all knew and all remembered and had these nostalgic feelings when we hear it, but it's also something that we've almost forgotten. And I had that thought like I want to recreate a video showing the beauty of Jamaica, showing all the different aspects of Jamaica, all the bits of our history, our culture, and the landscape of our land. And I want to put that pledge in there, as a reminder of who we are, where we're coming from. But also, I also want to add a message to it because just a pledge on its own is a bit, it's not random, but it's not enough. So in that problem, it's like, how do I deliver that message? Do I find someone? Do I find like an influential person to speak this video? And at the end of the day, I decided like, no, I'm going to do it. It's my personal feelings. I'm writing this. It's they're my thoughts. This is my message. So I took the one to voice it. And I'll be honest, at that time, I did not think I had a voice. I think it's a problem that everyone has where they think their own voice sounds weird or quirky or annoying in some ways. At that time when I released that video, I was very nervous that people were going to think my voice sounded horrible and I should have gotten someone else to do it. Um, so I was very very happy and relieved that that was not the case, and people loved my narration um, of that video. And actually, the opposite. A lot of people then told me that they loved my voice and they think it makes the videos more unique and more special, and that I should do way more than that. I can't tell the amount of messages I got saying that. But yeah, I still feel weird about voice in videos. Like it's still when I hear myself in videos, I still am
Bro,
like, oh,
I get it. It's the same. It's the same thing. And MKHB struggle with. Means every time him hear when I'm videos them, when I talk, him cringe. But it's a thing where it's not. You're making videos for the world. It's not just for
right.
you. So if the world love your voice, then that's the great part. So that same video, I'm gonna run a piece of it, so persons can get a sense of what you're talking about. You know, what I mean that same video.
Before God and all mankind,
I pledge love and loyalty of my heart, the wisdom and courage of my mind, the strength and vigor of my body in service of my fellow citizens. I promise to stand up for justice, brotherhood, and peace, to work diligently and creatively, to think generously and honestly.
Yo,
It takes a certain type of person to call him or herself a Jamaican. It takes a special kind of tenacity.
These are the latest one. Wow.
For many of the almost 3 million people living on this island, struggle has always been a part of the landscape. Yet we have always moved forward and fought for positive change. This is an unspoken truth for all those who call Jamaica home. But we do live here because this is our home. Our home is not just a place we live. A home is our friends, our
Jamieson, you find it. You find it, bro. You find it. Man, nah, like those two video, like when we watch it, it's like almost like cold sweat, bro. Come over, I'm like, yo, this just have a certain type of energy, a certain type of vibe, a certain type of feeling, which no matter anytime I watch it, if I watch it now, if I watch it from like last, anytime I watch it, I get this feeling, like this energy, it have this power in it, you know what I mean? And as I said, the voiceover had a lot to it, you know what I mean? It's not just the pictures. We have seen those pictures a whole heap of different times, you know what I mean? A lot of persons shoot drone videos, a lot of persons shoot this and shoot that. But when you add that level of basically storytelling where you kind of explain almost what you're seeing, you know what I mean? How Jamaicans, you know what I mean? How Jamaicans come together and that, bruv, you know, man, I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. And that's a reason why I say it's a pleasure, baby, brother, to have you on the show for kind of get that vibes, you know what I mean, that feeling, because that is what I want you to share. Like, as I say, yo, you never did plan none of this. You basically has a vision in terms of wanting to make a video. You decide, say, yo, you're not sure if your voice is the right voice, but when you decide to make your voice the voice, your voice now become even more than the right voice, you know what I mean? It could become the voice. So when a person hear right now, bruv, I think you can even go up on radio. Even though really antiquated as far as me see it, but you can go up on radio as far as me see it, bruv. And with the same type of pace there and the same type of energy there, bruv, it's crazy. So now that we kind of recap what you have done in that regard, we really want to talk about like what have you been doing, because we are just seeing what you, so to speak, want to show us in terms of what you want to be known for. So you want to be known for these storytelling type of videos where you showcase that voiceover type of energy and everything. But what else have you been up to in terms of what you have been doing, whether you have been doing a lot of corporate works, whatever you have been doing? Can I give you some insight into that?
Well, with COVID, I know a few creatives that their workload has flown through the roof or like maintained itself through COVID. But the way I was planning this year, had a lot of things in the works from 2019. And they were huge plans. They were amazing plans. I don't want to get into too much, but none of them allowed for social distancing, and a lot of those jobs required travel to be open. So that kind of shifted my year quite a bit. We're talking about projects that would have taken up months of time just to get it off the table. So when I created this two shall pass, it was that could only have been possible with the time that was available because of what's happening with COVID. I'm not the kind of person to sit down and complain. So picked up a camera and decided create that video. But in regards to corporate, in regards to work, in regards to the projects that you don't often see on my gram, that has slowed down quite a bit. But it's picking up now. So I know that I'll have a few months coming up where I'll be back to the grind in terms of, I think most like filmmaker creators in Jamaica understand how that works, where where you're just lots of sleepless nights and long days. But I have somehow, not intentionally, have somehow ended up working with lots of foundations, which is actually really motivating. We're talking about like non-profits, foundations that do the charity type work, NGO type work. Um, that has actually become a large part of my client. Um, even in this "Who Shall Pass" the video, one of the supporters is Muslim Foundation, and I worked with them in the past, and I told them what I wanted to create, and they're like, "Okay, we'll contribute," and they did. So I have to thank them for that. That definitely helped, help pay the bills, keep the lights on, with JPS. Um, but yeah, no. I have a few projects in order that I can't really talk about. Um, and then I have much greater plans from my personal goals, like this too shall pass. From the storytelling. So yeah, I'm kind of in that shift period where I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to salvage 2020 in terms of work, in terms of making. Uh,
Amazing,
but
bro. Amazing. I hope the stuff them we have in works we really can talk about. It has to do with traveling the world and finding community, like Jamaican community or community of Caribbean natives, and basically capturing stuff like that. I hope that is what it involves, you know what I mean? And kind of telling the story, or not even if you travel the world and find Jamaican, just traveling the world and telling stories. Because
right,
I see this going far, bruv. Like you have a lot of
yeah,
YouTubers who are making a lots of money from creating content like that. Where them just travel the world and put it in a story form, and you know what I mean, people gravitate to it. So I hope that is one
I
of the
don't,
plans in the
I don't mean
work.
to, I don't mean to interrupt you, but I definitely should say that Anthony Bourdain, the late Anthony Bourdain,
Mm.
he is a huge inspiration to me, or was a huge inspiration to me. The
Well,
style of story.
is him gone, but him inspiration is still there. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. Like his storytelling, he used food as an entry point. If you're familiar with Anthony Bourdain, he's a chef that travels the world and tells stories about the places he travels to and like the foods that he eats. But a lot of his shows were not just about food. He made it so much more,
yeah,
and I really enjoyed those programs and those mini documentaries I call them because you really connected to the places that he went and the stories that you were telling and the people. So watching his mini documentaries growing up is definitely a huge inspiration, and that is ultimately what I want to do. I want to have a production like that, a show like that, where I am telling stories that have impact. That when you watch it, it does good for the world in terms of bringing us together and bringing us closer and making us understand what people are going through and what is happening and what people are like. And the more you understand other people and other perspectives and you can feel that, is the better it is for us as a world coming together and united. So just
bro.
wanted to just throw that in there.
As me say, yo, you find it because as me say, I can see this going real far. You know what I mean? Especially when you start travel the world, and as I said, tell stories from various points. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
For various people. You go to Indonesia, you tell for them story. You go to Italy, you tell for them story. Wherever you end up, you basically tell a story for the persons them. So you spend like a time there, kind of get used to the vibes. Anywhere you go, you tell a story. Very similar to how you do it with the voiceover, and just capture that energy. And as I say, I see it going so far, bro. And I'm just happy for you. And I mean, as I say, when I see an creative winning, I'm like, yo, you know what I mean? I'm look at the possibilities. I'm like, I'm glad for see this, you know what I mean? And as I say, yo, as I say, you have a whole heap of projects where you really can speak about, but I kind of want to do more like a deep dive into the niche because I believe that you have created a niche. You know what I mean? I know that if somebody look for that type of inspirational video, that's the reason why you possibly work with all of these NGOs because them look for that level of inspiration in terms of the content with them create. So when them put out them content, whoever watch it look like, oh yo, me that sponsor, me that donate to this NGO, me that, you know what I mean? So I want to get a deep dive into the sense of like what is your creative process now that you actually do this work for companies? Because I understand when you try to do it by yourself, you know, I mean, it kind of look a bit different. You just whatever, you almost have unlimited time. But when you're working on a video, for instance, like the video that you work on for Jamaica Tourist Board, how do you know what I mean, work out that process, so to speak, to accomplish a project like this? Because you know what I mean, you have deadlines, you have all these things. How do you know what I mean, navigate these spaces?
So I think the best way to answer this is by using one of the since you mentioned JTB, let's use that video. They commissioned me to make a video dedicated to reggae. So it's almost like a tribute to reggae, but it was but it wanted me to focus on events that happened throughout February, which you know is reggae month, right? Now that was a big deal to me because I love when the DXP works with the local creators more personal way like that. And they trusted me. They didn't give me any stipulations to like do this and do that. They didn't say like needs to have this kind of flow or this kind of story. They approached me as an artist and said, "Hey, we like work that you do. We trust that you can create something that shows the world what reggae month is like and also touches on the story of reggae." And that was all they said to me. And that was a great project because of that trip. I really appreciated that. And yeah, I created that video. It took about a month and a half to make it. And the process, because of the time, there is a time restriction, like you mentioned, when you're doing your own project, like you can take forever. You can decide to make it, it can take 3 years because things need to work in a certain amount of time, the process has to be a bit different. And with that, it had to be more of a run and gun situation. And I think that is a strength that I have, being able to go somewhere without a plan in terms of a short list, without having this list of scenes I need to get, list of shots I need to get, and adapt to any situation. I think that's where I'm coming from with events and things like that. So that's a strength I acquired just from experience. So when I go to different events or different functions or different discussions or anything that happens during that month of shooting reggae month, um, I just immerse myself in that environment. And I understand the story that's being told, and I position myself in the right place at the right time to capture the visuals. I think complement complement the video like that. So as I said, that was a very run and gun situation because they they contacted me literally in the beginning of reggae month and were like, "Hey, this is what I wanted to do. Can you do it?" I said yes, and immediately I was shooting. There was no planning phase, no pre-production. There was Everything was like, "Okay, we need to go, 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 go. We need to get these shots. I need to go to like Trenchtown. I need to like learn about the history of Bob Marley and all the history of Trenchtown and figure out like everything. Go to different events. You could have reggae month. They had like I don't know, a lot of events in America. And you go to different events and you talk to different people and you go backstage and you capture some of that vibe and you capture the crowd interaction. You shoot in iconic places that are closely related to the history of reggae. And it just all comes together while you're experiencing it. You might have a vision in your head, but you have to shift sometimes. Like you might think, okay, I want to do this, but this is what it's actually like, and this is what I'm actually seeing. So let me adjust it this way because it's the story that I'm actually living, right? And I think that's just it's just your perspective as a person, as an artist. It's really one of the same. The way you see things and the way you express it is based on your interpretation of what you're capturing, and um, like an expression. That the expression part happens in the editing phase. Once you have all the content and you can't shoot anymore because you're running out of time, then you just need to put it together and you create that story. So once I have all the content and I think I fully appreciate the footage I have, content I have to work with, um, I find the right music. And in that situation, I actually worked with I actually worked with another creative to put together a musical track that blended about 15 different songs together. Uh, that so if you go to the if you type in reggae tributes on YouTube, you watch it, you hear this song that has about 15 different reggae tracks blended together. So we created that music track, and then based on that, I created a story. So it's almost like you're backward engineering this edit in a way, based on time, because you can't. Sometimes you just can't build everything from scratch, and plan everything out and create. You have to constantly adjust, constantly figure out how things come together in a way that tells the right story that you can tell. So that's an example. You have different processes for different projects. Um, it honestly comes down to the problems and solutions that you find. I think that makes a difference in terms of your ability to create film pieces, like your problem solving. I could go into more examples of different projects, but we'll be talking all day.
Yeah. We definitely will be talking all day, you know what I mean? But that give a good insight as to a project, and as I say, your experience as a creative, as a event shooter, because event shooter is very dynamic. You show up, you don't know what is gonna happen at the event. There's no storyboarding, and you have to just shoot. So you having that experience made it easy for you to take on these projects and basically you know what I mean, deliver what the client wanted, so to speak, you know what I mean. And that was another great project from my perspective, you know what I mean. It captured the essence of what reggae is, especially in reggae month and stuff like that. So I'm gonna say, yo, bro, to me, you're just doing amazing work. And I can't, like, sometimes I just look back and I just say, I can't wait to see more, you know what I mean. Every time you drop something, I just can't wait to see more.
I have to, I just remember. Do you remember the first time you and I met?
um I'm not quite sure. I wonder if it was
It
I Love
was
Soca.
no, 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 no. At that time, I hadn't started my career like professionally yet, so I don't think it would have been I Love Soca. Um, it was something at UWI. I was still doing my degree, and you were shooting something at UWI, and you may have recognized me, or I may have seen you with the camera, and I just started talking to you. But back then, you were a photographer. You were known as a photographer. You
Yeah,
remember
yeah,
this?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And we were
Yeah.
just talking about video because you said, "Yo, I think I want to get into filming. I think I want to get into video. The photography thing is nice, but it's kind of boring me now. I want to get into video." Here we are now, like what is it, 7 years later,
Yeah.
and that is what you are known for now, video.
Yeah, we're doing different things. I'm trying to be known for something else right now. This what we're on. Um so the next thing what I want to talk about is I remember when stabilizer became very popular and seeing you out in the street, and while everybody is trying to do gimbal, everybody there on them gimbal life, you were one of them and them say, yo, yeah, you a steady cam me there, you know. And me not care about all the gimbals one of them on, but a steady cam me there. So you basically studied steady cam, and then you understood how to use your steady cam to get your shots looking a certain way and flowing a certain way. And we know that you can see the difference if you have the trained eye between a Steadicam and basically a gimbal. And I believe that you did an amazing job. I remember seeing you on the road. You know what I mean? You know, as creatives, we're sharing the space a lot of times. I am shooting either photos or videos. You are shooting either photos. You are shooting video at the time when I saw you most of the time. You know what I mean? I saw you at various events doing a thing. And you know what I mean, I was like, yo, why am I using Steadicam? But when I look at your work now, I'm like, yo, all right.
That's
So
why.
me see why, yeah. And sometimes even I'll ask you, like, you know what I mean, oh, yo, even balance it. Because I remember even back then, even right now, me have one mini Steadicam that I've never used. I bought it and I have never used it because the first time I take it up and try to put it together, it goes whoop, and go to the side. I'm like, all right, then this is not for me. And then I basically started to and Mr. Adrian Creary just said, and shooting video with a Nikon camera too. You know what I mean? Like shooting video on a Nikon camera was kind of like, oh, okay. You know, Nikon science not really all that great in terms of video, but you understood how your camera work, and you basically just make it work. You know what I mean? You understood your Steadicam, you understood how your camera work, and you utilize the equipment that you had at the time. You know what I mean? And this is one of the things that I want to it's almost like a lesson that I want creatives, younger creatives, older creatives to know that your camera, your computer, your car, all of these things are tools.
Yeah.
They're all tools, and these things are made to be used, not the other way around. It's a creative who has the talent who is basically bringing it to a certain level. It's never the tool. So if you have a Red versus a Sony, that doesn't mean him gonna better be a better creative. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? If him have a A6300 versus him have a 1DX, that no make him a better creative. It always come down to basically who is behind the camera, who is using it, who is behind the computer, who is behind whatever tool you're using. And when I look at you, I'm like, yo, you know what I mean? Everybody at the gimbal, him basically I say, yo, I'm Steadicam, and then when we look upon the end result, we're always like, yo, that you are doing thing, you know what I mean? And you big up some names, and you know what I mean? For me, also Andre Bellamy was one of the person who Andre Bellamy always I give young creatives a chance for like, showcase themselves. And I'm kind of glad that you come up to the space and also get the opportunity so you can showcase your talent and your work, and then making more steps. But I kind of want to track back because when you just started and you kind of start explain, because I don't know where you come from, but based on where you explain and you start talk about bike riding and stuff like that, I kind of now realize that you're kind of uptown. You know what I mean? Because it's bike riding and dirt riding is kind of uptown type of vibes. No, that's not a bad thing because you know have a different perspective in terms of that type of energy. And now I kind of get the understanding why your films have that in it. You know what I mean? That bike riding thing because that's how you grow. So you shoot some of the stuff
Well,
then when you grow
to
around.
be honest, like I had mentioned that I used to ride, but I never rode because it wasn't something I grew up doing. It wasn't something that I rode my first bike when I was 18, and that's because my friend's dad, had a dirt bike, and he it was not something that came easy for them either, but they loved it, and he taught me how to ride, and because of that, I learned how to ride through my friend's father, and I grew to love it. So when I got the opportunity to save and put together and get myself a dirt bike, I did. So it wasn't a uptown thing. It wasn't like a hey, I want a dirt bike and I have a dirt bike. No, no, it wasn't like that.
Okay,
It was
okay,
something.
okay.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
but that definitely is a part of my history. I think like motocross teaches you a lot about yourself. Um, but going back to the whole tools thing, uh, the 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 at the time, when I was just getting into it, I had to be very careful because as I said, like I can't just ask for money and get it, right? It was my own money that I had to figure out, like, okay, I'm gonna spend this amount of money and invest into it. And at the time, I think I only had like 2,000 US for everything. so when I researched everything about all the cameras, all the tools I could get at the time, and I basically came down to this bare bone case of like the Nikon, like you mentioned, which was not a popular camera for the video at the time, but it had something that the Canons didn't. And if you did the research, you'd realize this. It had 1080p at 60 frames per second, which for a very, very, very unreasonable long time, the Canons and other brands, and that I knew that would give me an advantage for certain things. So I got a Nikon. It was cheap. It was cheap. It was only like $700 at the time. That could give me a camera body. I got a good lens with it, based on research and learning photography and stuff like that. Got a good lens to complement that, and then I bought the fly cam and the microphone, and that was my kit. That was my start. I was like, okay, I'm gonna do video production. This is what I have. These are my tools. Because, like what you say, the tools, you are the storyteller. Like, tools help you express. But if you don't work on perfecting your storytelling, if you don't work on your own storytelling skills, the tools don't make that much of a difference. I think most of the difference you see in the quality of work is found within the person that is doing the work and not the tool at all. Because as I said, like you could have a $50,000 camera, and if you don't know what you're doing, if you don't know how to manipulate that camera and tell a story, then you're gonna make something that's worth $0. You could have a cell phone. Oh man, people have it so easy today. The I think like an iPhone shoots such good quality video that if you want to start a career in videography or filmmaking or whatever, you can use an iPhone and it will look good. I know people that do that. Like I was watching a friend the other day just create a few edits on his phone with an iPhone the other day. And I was like, this looks almost as good like as me on my expensive camera doing all of this work just to make it look just as good as your phone. So yeah, I think people get caught up in the whole like having the best camera and the best equipment. For me, it's like you have your tools, you learn them, you practice with them, you get experience and tell stories with them, and the more you work with them, and your ability to problem solve will make way more of a difference than just trying to upgrade your equipment all the time. So when I got that Glidecam when I started out, the Steadicam when I started out, I wasn't planning to reinvest again anytime like immediately after. It was like I'm working with this until I feel like I need to, or I feel like I really want to upgrade and do something different. But I'm gonna master this and make this the tool that I use to tell my stories. And it doesn't matter what everyone else is doing, as long as like the videos that I create, I feel great about them, and the stories I'm telling tells the stories that I want to tell. Then there's no point, you know. The same thing with the drones. Different drones come out like every other month, and
Yeah, yeah,
it's
yeah.
like, no, I'm not gonna chase down drones. If I had like crazy disposable income, I would just buy drones for fun and like have a wide array of different types of drones. But it's like for the type of storytelling I'm doing, the tools I have work, and until I see a need to get something better or more expensive or something more capable, there's no reason to go for the next thing. You know?
Yeah, yeah. It's a real talk, you know. I mean, oftentimes, as creatives, some of us get caught up in the latest this and the latest that. It's something that me and even Adrian Query also are discussing. I mean, why do we run down the latest equipment when the equipment that we haven't maxed out the
Yeah.
capability of it? You know, I mean, we haven't really gone into the depths of this equipment we have, but a new thing come out. Oh, DJI just dropped a new drone. I have to have it. You know what I mean? Even right now, we have a Maverick Pro 2. Maverick
Yeah.
Pro. I think it's Maverick Pro or Maverick Pro 2. One of them. I'm not sure. And I am trying to get the control for it so I can use it in the controller that just released so I can use it to do live production. But I
Oh.
am not trying to basically get a new drone, so to speak. You know what I mean? I don't need a new drone. I just need a control so I can basically get a clean HDMI out of it so I can put it into a capture card so I can use it in a live production setting because that's
Yeah.
what I'm doing. But a lot of times, as I say, you know, I mean, people get caught up on the equipment vibe. You know, I mean, every day there's a new equipment. It's like, oh, new iPhone comes out. You know, I mean, new. I have to have it. I have to have it. And people, as you said, oh, realize that it is never the tool.
Yeah.
You know, what I mean, it is. Sometimes you are
The tool helps.
amazed.
The tool helps,
It
but
helps. It helps,
but
but sometimes you are so amazed by a creative when you find out what type of tools you're using. You're like, oh, you never use a red? And the man said, no, me I use a A7 III
yeah,
or a A7S. Not even A7S2, you know.
yeah,
A7S. Way back round so. And the man like, yeah. So oftentimes creatives always show up, you know what I mean, with whatever tool they're comfortable with. And once they maximize basically their effort and energy into this tool and learn it as best as they can, you know what I mean? As the saying go, I don't know the exact saying, you know what I mean? But if you want to be a street sweeper, be the best street sweeper you can be, you know what I mean? And it's the same thing I look at anything that I do, you know what I mean? Whatever I want to be, right now I'm taking on this live production thing. I want to be this best. the best live producer in Jamaica, more remote live producer, because a lot of
Right.
people are fight over the um the on
Yeah.
location live production stage, but I am fighting for remote live because remote live open up a wider door. I can work for a person in Ghana, I can work for a person in India, and I can work for that one in Ghana today and one in India tomorrow. That is impossible before doing remote live production. Because there's no way you can travel from Ghana to India in a less than a certain amount of time, you know what I mean? So
So now I
it's
know
a
what
thing.
now I know what now I know you're working on. Okay.
Yes. No, no, no. It's not that I'm working on it. I'm doing it. This what you're looking
Yeah.
at right now. What is going on? What is going out on Instagram right now? That
Yeah.
is it. You know, what I mean, I've been doing this for a couple of months, and it actually I do things. You know, what I mean, things are coming.
That's
Things
great.
things
That's awesome.
really
You
really
basically
are
like
coming.
you pioneered a new everything.
I wouldn't say I pioneer it. It exists before, but I am one of the persons in Jamaica who was like a early starter then. So I was practicing in this before COVID happened. You know what I mean? Like about a year before COVID happened, I was practicing this, show it to a couple people, and I'm like, oh, yo, you know this possible. But once COVID hit, everybody
Right.
needed this.
Became essential.
Yes, it become an essential service. So, you know what I mean? Oftentimes you have to plan and prepare before certain things. And then when things happen, you know what I mean? So since COVID happened, I have my business that I started a year ago. Since COVID happened is now basically shooting to the stars because a person reach out
That
to me.
that is the definition of luck, by the way. When preparation meets opportunity. So
Yes, yes.
I'm happy for you,
And
man.
yeah, man. Like that is me. I am constantly preparing, you know what I mean? Preparing for stuff we don't even see in the future. And as I say, brother, like your stuff, I always like look on your stuff and say, yo, Jamieson, that you here have a lot. You have a lot for do it. I'm glad say you see it as a purpose. Because oftentimes we do stuff, but we don't necessarily have a purpose behind it, you know what I mean? And me
Yeah.
hear it when you talk a while ago, you know, especially now that you're working with a lot of NGO, you probably get even more of a purpose. You see the impact where it can have on, you know what I mean, others' life. And you're like, if me I tell these stories and it can reach certain people and them people they can donate because them get the feeling where me I try to convey to the world. That basically is my purpose. So now, if you go somewhere and boom, you're locked in for your purpose and you say, all right, then, I'm going to take this purpose to the world. So now I'm going to travel the world and basically capture stories and tell these stories for whether it be me I tell these stories for people who you know what I mean in a poverty or whatever the case may be, or me I tell these stories for just to give my perspective on what's going on and it can impact some other person's life or change some other person's life. You know what I mean? That is a great thing, you know what I mean? And that is what I see for you with based on this energy where you push out there. And as I say, yo, brother, you know, short at impact. You know what I mean? Like your videos, them, short at impact,
Yeah.
bro. And
I definitely recognized it's something I can't deny within myself at all because um after the national pledge tribute, if I were to show you the hundreds and hundreds of messages from every platform of people saying like how this has affected them and the decisions that they've made, like I that alone, that alone is enough to motivate me to continue. And the same thing happened with this too shall pass. It's I'm not sure what the word is, but it definitely is a sign that I'm on the right path and that the work that I do does have some positive impact and definitely is worth all the energy and effort. Even if it's not money, even if there's no monetary gain from it, it's definitely worth it. In terms of the impact it has for my fellow Jamaicans and other people around the world that can relate to the messages and the videos. Um, but in terms of the long term plan, like I my philosophy is more of a you know flow with the universe kind of philosophy. I think the door is open for you at certain times when you're ready for it, and you just need to be open to seeing them, and understanding who you are before walking through them. So yeah, no. my work means a lot to me. Like it's never been a monetary thing for me. I probably should focus more on the money because it's definitely a necessary part of life. But it's never been a monetary thing for me. It's definitely been more about helping people around me. Even when I'm doing events, as simple as those were, working with like brands like I Love Soca from the ground up and seeing not the ground up, but from early days and seeing their crowds go from hundreds to filling out stadiums. Same with Sun Nation and Breakfast Party and working with Bacchanal over the years and seeing the carnival industry blow up the way it did. Working with different brands and helping them promote themselves and able to grow and sell more or do more whatever they're doing. Sometimes I work with individuals that are starting to start new businesses. Lots of things that people don't see, but at the end of the day, I'm creating all of these relationships with all kinds of Jamaicans from various backgrounds, with various visions, with various ambitions, and various plans. And like, if I grew ill in 10 years and died, I know that I contributed a lot to my country, regardless of the monetary value. I knew I'll know that I did a lot of good and I helped a lot of people. Um, you know, yeah.
Yeah, bro. Like the money will come. You know, what I mean, oftentimes we get caught up in the dollars and cents of things, and we don't realize that. You see, when you have a certain impact, and when your purpose is to impact, for instance, 1 billion people around the world, and you have a vision and you have a way how you're going about it, the money will come. You'll realize that you say, oh, all right then. So, for instance, because I'm really pushing this travel the world thing with Jameson, I'm like, Jameson,
All right,
travel
all
the
right. I'm
world.
gonna say this. I'm gonna say this. If COVID didn't happen, you would have seen some of that for
Oh,
sure.
okay, amazing. That's what I want to hear.
It
That's
was
what I
in the
want to hear.
works. It was in the
So
works. The plans were
right
on the
now, I
table to
can
do
tell you,
something
bro.
productive.
I can tell you, like, even if you never have the funding for it, and you put out, like, for instance, what them call it again? GoFundMe or a crowdfund, whatever, and you drop that all on one of them site there and drop it on all the internet and basically showcase your work and say, oh, all right, then this is the type of work I want to do, traveling the world and telling these stories. Me sure say if you even ask you 100,000 US, you'd like get it, bruv. People would have support you for go out there and capture these stories and tell it. Me know. You know, I say people are support for other things. I'm like, for something like this, me know people would have definitely supported. People from around the diaspora would have definitely basically support you because that is one I think where even me as a creative want to see you do, you know what I mean? I want to see if you take on the diaspora in the various countries where the diaspora there, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
capture content from
It's
them,
funny.
you know what I
It's
mean?
funny.
Go to various.
I feel like without even talking to you about my plans, you're hitting on some of the
Yeah,
nails.
because the thing is when I look upon it, I see the vision. I have a bigger vision for you in terms of what I see you can be doing. So I'm like, oh, so this James if you do. So he might do it on a level, but if you do this, if you take it to this level, so me I think when I see the work, like, all right then James I do this right now, but I want him reach to this level. So it's just level up, level up, level up, you know what I mean? You know what I mean?
For
Boom, you're
me
there,
right now,
Japan.
it's about yeah. For me
Go
right now, a part of it, why you don't see me like jump into the next level constantly is because I do still think I'm learning. I still think that I have a lot to learn. But I am at that place now. As I said, if COVID didn't happen, I'm at that place now where I'm ready to make some serious moves and tell some serious stories. And I think that I do have the support, like you said. If I wanted the support, I could get the support to tell you know, some stories that really would hit home for a lot of Jamaicans all around the world. So
yeah, man, brother. I swear, like we could have talked for a month. You know
yeah.
what I mean? Like we could have just talk. But Instagram, no have a time limit, and we're already like 55 minutes in. I'ma tell you, I'ma tell you before come on and say, yo, them type of
All those
conversation, is just it just flows. You know what I mean? It just happens, and the time
times.
just blew off, and the time blew off. And as I said, brother, I wish you well. Like I am here cheering for you. And that is one of the things where a lot of creatives don't even understand that we don't necessarily are competing, even though we are in similar fields and we kind of, sometimes I go after similar clients and trying to get this job and that job. But we don't necessarily need to have this, what do call now, this combative type of vibes and stuff like that because,
I don't believe in that either.
yeah,
I think everyone is uniquely different and their perspective is uniquely different. So at the end of the day, really, like it is like unless you have a clone, like it's not really competition. I think when people want to work with you, they want to work with you, and if they don't, that's good. Like if they know they don't want to work with you or they work with someone else, that's good.
Yeah,
You
man.
know,
Like,
it's meant
bro,
to
as
be
me say, yo,
you
like,
get that opportunity.
yes, yes, yes. Because I must say, yo, we see the effort and the energy, and I must say, brother, I'm glad to
Much
see.
respect. Much
This,
respect. I really
yeah,
appreciate that. And
yeah,
the
man.
same
Like,
to you. Like I said, like as in I remember when I saw you at UE doing photography and you were like, I'm ready to make a change. And like over the years I've just seen you make those changes, man. And
yeah,
you're doing
yeah,
it
like,
again, you're doing it again in a big way. So
yeah.
congratulations.
I'm trying. I'm trying. You know what I mean? I'm always like trying to, you know what I mean, learn. I'm always learning new stuff. So that's one I think
Yeah,
about me. I'm constantly trying to one up myself, so to speak. You know what I mean? So that's just a part of who I am as a person. But brother,
right.
respect for company show.
Thank
Much
you for having
respect.
me
You
on
know what
the
I
show.
mean?
This was
Glad
a,
me get to
a
talk
good
to you
talk.
because me I say yo, want to talk to the man. I make all them video. You know what I mean? And I say yo, want get the man on the show. Get the man on the show. But I'm gonna say the time I run out, and we
Yeah.
normally run an intro before outro. I mean before Instagram cut me off.
Okay.
I'm going to listen to the outro because I think this can be even for you. You know what I mean? So just hang back a little bit and just listen to the outro before you jump off.
All
So
right,
make a
cool.
run the outro and blessings again for coming up on the show, brother.
Yeah, man.
Blessings. I really appreciate it.
Big up, Shannon.
Yes. Wow, what an amazing show. You know what I mean? Talking to Jameson about his journey and you know what I mean, just the type of work basically he has been doing over the years, you know what I mean, and inspirational, very impactful, you know what I mean. Work where, I want to see more, you know what I mean? I want to see them when I travel the world and basically I take over the place and I do these type of videos. And the code for this episode is basically start each day with a positive thought and a grateful heart. So we understand where Roy T. Bennett is saying. Start each day with a positive thought and a grateful heart. So the man I say, yo, when I wake up in the morning, nobody going on negativity. Is that what I say? Just get up and I think about positive stuff where you want to do with your life. You know what I mean? And at the same time, you are grateful for what you have already. You know what I mean? You know, daddy and I try to say, yo, oh, I have this, I have that. And, just be grateful and think positive thoughts. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, you know what I mean, a positive thought is always better than a negative thought. You know what I mean? Because a positive thought can, you know what I mean, bring a certain mood, a certain vibes on you. So think positive thoughts and, you know what I mean, have a grateful heart, as the man say. You know what I mean? So as we say, yo, that was another episode of Creative Always